Okay, so here's a question. Is there a Google monopoly in Europe today? Now, if that question seems awkward and clumsy, it's because it is, and that's the point. The European Union has handed down an almost unbelievably large fine because of what it sees as an antitrust violation by the search behemoth, and if you think you have any idea whether there's a Google monopoly related to this, you're a better lawyer than I, and of course I'm not a lawyer. Lawyers will be slugging this one out for years, and frankly, they will not ever come up with a real answer to the Google monopoly question. So it's time for a short trip to the Answer Guy Central Time Machine. We've been asking, is Google a monopoly for quite a while, and while the definition of monopoly is itself in question, what the European Union is harping on with their years in the making fine is something different. Google is being accused of antitrust violations, which could be linked to monopolistic practices, but also generally require some form of outside your own purvey action. Antitrust is a form of collusion, and thank you, Donald Trump, collusion is only illegal under certain circumstances. Of course, and again, I'm not an attorney, and certainly I'm not in the European Union, but the decision and fine handed to Google yesterday are simply ill-conceived. The antitrust filing states that Google showed user results from Google Shopping, quote, irrespective of their merits, depriving rival price comparison sites of traffic. So think about that. Google's a search engine, and despite their size, not the only one. Search is subjective, and it's always changing. Objectivity in search, by definition, does not exist. Now, while Google makes most of its money from advertising, it's never claimed that advertising and search are linked. In fact, it denies it. Find me some information has nothing to do with where can I buy product X, unless the question includes a ton of, or at least certain, specificity. If you were to ask Google, hey, where's the cheapest widget in Paris? And the answer pointed you at a Google partner instead of and excluding the correct answer, the EU's fine could make sense. Of course, you'd need to include right now and assuming the information was even available in your question. There is no Google monopoly. All right, maybe there is, but that's the thing. Maybe is not how you describe complete nobody can compete unfairness. Is it creepy that Google no longer needs your data? Yeah, you bet it is. Does Google doing things that compel you to use more data have the potential to cost you money you weren't planning to spend? Yes, but it's not as though you don't gain something. Do I and everyone who works with search engine optimization wish we had a handle on Google's secret sauce? Of course we do, but none of that matters for two simple reasons. First, Google is only obligated to care about EU rulings if they have a physical presence there. And they could shut down any time and still make as much money as they do right now. 2, business is all about finding gray areas and exploiting them. In other words, the European Union is playing with fire. Google could move all their Europe-based jobs outside of Europe anytime, and remember, there is no actual Google monopoly anyway. NBD, as the kids would say. Wondering how to manage your business on your trip from A to B and thinking a little bit less thought could do you good, but not quite sure which thoughts to deprioritize? Hey, let's talk. I'm the Answer Guy, and I'll be back.